Any health advice given, whether general, diet, physical or spiritual, is general only and must be verified by your doctor. If you need medical advice, please consult a doctor.
Please do not message or call, as the following programme is a rerun of a previous live show. Any announcements made during the repeat may now not be applicable.
Assalamu alaikum to all our viewers and listeners. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Health and Fitness Show. I am Suliman Rafiq, your host for today, and this program is broadcasting from the studios of Inspire FM, live today on Thursday, the 21st of February 2019 at 6 p.m, casting its positive vibes to all the lovely people in Luton and surrounding areas such as Dunstable, Harpenden, Bedford, and also reaching listeners on the Inspire FM website. You can now also view us via Facebook. So all you have to do is go to the Inspire FM Facebook page and click on our live link. If you are listening to this show on Sunday or any other Thursday, then it is repeated. We cover different health-related topics every week, and today's topic is in relation to drugs and alcohol. I'm sure our listeners have thoughts on this, so why not get involved by calling 01582 481822, or you can text or WhatsApp on 0777 948 1822. That number again, 0777 948 1822. It really does make all the difference when listeners get involved with their questions. So we have a great range of guests today from Resolutions, and I'm delighted that being able to join us and free up some of their time to do so. Can I just ask you to introduce yourselves? Hayley, can I start with you?
Yeah, my name is Hayley Brooks and I'm the Interim Services Manager at Luton Resolutions. Resolutions is the drug and alcohol service which services Luton, and we offer free and confidential support for people that are experiencing drug and alcohol misuse and also their families as well.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Saklan Shah. I'm a recovery champion and a PSI worker. I work on different recovery groups and I help to build, maintain motivation, manage thoughts, feelings, and get clients to live a balanced life in my groups.
Thank you.
My name's Carl Gregory. I work in the young people's team, so that means I work with people under the age of 25 who are struggling with drug and alcohol issues. I'm also based in Luton Youth Offending Service, so I work with any clients that have been arrested and charged, and the workers there have concerns that they have issues with drugs, so they'll get referred to me. But we also go into schools, delivering workshops, giving advice on targeted areas, for example, like cannabis, alcohol, and general drugs misuse. So there's quite a varied range of stuff that we do.
Fantastic. That's really important work. So, listeners, given what you've heard, I know some of you already have some questions. So why not get in contact by text or WhatsApp on 0777 948 1822. So, start with a basic question that I ask most of our guests in relation to the different health topics. I mean, is there, from your experience, a particular issue with drugs in Luton?
Yes, there is. Out of the 152 local authorities in the UK, Luton ranks 29th in terms of crack and opiate misuse. So drugs is definitely a particular issue in Luton compared to other local authorities. When you look at alcohol, Luton ranks approximately 83rd out of 152 local authorities. So alcohol isn't actually as bad as the drug problem that we have in Luton.
Interesting. And given the audience, do you know a higher rate of drug use within the South Asian community particularly?
There is a particularly high rate of opiate use within the South Asian community. 84% of our service users that are experiencing opiate misuse issues are from the South Asian community, so there is quite a high proportion.
And when you say opiate, what's that also
Heroin.
referred to? Heroin.
Heroin.
So when we're talking about opiate use, we're talking about heroin use.
Predominantly.
And currently the main concern within the South Asian community, the main how can I say, drug of choice, is that the right phrase?
Yes, I would say.
Yeah,
yes.
heroin.
Yeah, I'd say in like certain generations it would be. With the younger generation, it doesn't seem to be as big, and I've found that cannabis is a massive problem with the young people that I work with.
Yeah.
But that's not just South Asian, that's young people in general. So yeah. Just to sort of give a variation.
Yeah, there's definitely a distinct difference when we look at our data. For young people, it is predominantly cannabis, but actually over 25. So we have two services.
Right.
We have the young person service, which works with people under the age of 25, and we have the adult service, which works with people over the age of 25. In the adult services for the South Asian community, it's predominantly opiates, and in the young person service, it's predominantly cannabis.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And do you know, is there a difference? I mean, is it all guys? Is it men and women? What are you finding in your service in Luton particularly?
Predominantly male. So
Yeah.
in our adult services, 98% male. In our young person services, around 87% male. In that particular cohort, the South Asian community.
Within the South Asian community. So
Not as a whole. Not
I
as a
think you'll
service a
find
whole.
as well, like with males, will find it easier to come forward and say, I've got a problem and ask for help. But I think sometimes with females, they'll find a bit of stigma attached to it and won't often always want to speak out about it sometimes. So it can be quite difficult sometimes.
And we've already touched on the word help quite a bit here. I mean, can you just kind of cover what help is available for? I guess, what I'm thinking of is we might have listeners who either themselves are given the statistics, it's clearly an issue in the community, either themselves might require some help, or they have friends or family members that maybe could benefit from some help. I mean, can you just take us through what help is on offer for Luton residents?
Yeah, absolutely. We have counselling, we have one-to-one support, we have the group programme that SACLAN predominantly runs. We have prescribing as well. So it depends on what the need is. We do a lot of preventative work as well. So depending on what the need is that someone tries to access services for, we'll do a tailored approach for that individual.
Right.
And that's the key. The key is that once the person comes into the service, then it's tailor-made to that person, because everybody's so different, and certain drug use can sort of force the client to be quite chaotic, so we sort of have to adjust ourselves around them. But like Hayley said, we've got everything in the service to support that person.
Fantastic. And how do people, what's the best way of getting in touch if there's anyone listening that would like to make contact?
We have an 0800 number that people can call, so they can call via the telephone. Great. We also have our website, so people can actually refer on the website as well. They're the main access into treatment.
The website is the main one, and you'll find it's sort of we get to the person within about 5 days as well, don't we?
We will assess someone within 5 days.
Yeah,
fantastic. And what's the website address? Sorry, just for people.
The website address is resolutions.info@cgl.org.uk.
Fantastic.
And our 0800 number is 0800 054 6603.
Thank you. And so, as when I introduced the show, we were keen for it to also cover the topic of alcohol use in the South Asian community. You spoke that drugs is a particular problem, but alcohol not as much of a problem, but still a problem. Is that a fair kind of summary?
Yeah, alcohol is getting bigger and bigger. The issue is getting bigger with the South Asians.
Really?
Yeah, it is. And people are sort of socialising and do it in their own houses.
Right.
So everyone's doing it. They're taking away from their responsibilities, away from their emotions, and it's getting bigger and bigger.
And in Luton, within the South Asian community.
Absolutely, in Luton, yeah. And it comes under the cultures of addiction, where people they want to avoid the rest of their lives, and they just want to have pain-free lives where it's for the short-term fix, and they get into groups and do it in as a community, as together in houses. Yeah,
because it's fair to say traditionally alcohol use wasn't so much of a thing within the community, or is that just my perception?
It comes under socialisation. So they socialise with other drinkers, and you get other issues with people when they get their benefits. They pay for the drink, and then the next week someone else will pay for the drink, and it sort of works around this culture that people have used.
And
what I've found as well, though, with that is because of the taboo of sort of drinking alcohol in that community is sort of more hidden. So if people do find they're having a problem, I think it's a little bit more difficult to come forward. So it probably reflects in the numbers sometimes with people not actually receiving support and then trying to do it themselves once they realise they have a problem. But with alcohol, that can be seriously dangerous. If you are struggling with alcohol addiction, you need to get the support of a service like ours and the support of your GP. So it's the withdrawals from alcohol can cause you to have some serious side effects. So it's something that you do really need to get support with.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you know, there's as you say, it's like alcoholism in terms of people who are addicted to alcohol. Is that, have I understood that correctly? And how would a person, you know, because there are people who drink socially, and then there's people who have a problem with alcohol. How would you kind of assess that, if you really do need support or not, in that sense?
I think it's like we said, it's tailor-made to each person. With alcohol, you can become alcohol dependent, which means literally from when you're waking up in the morning, your body will be in withdrawals and you'll need to get alcohol to function throughout the day. Yeah. But also people could be drinking daily at a regular time every day, so your body will get used to waiting for the alcohol, you know, when you finish work. But also that repeated pattern is also another form of addiction. So you'll find that people might not think they've got an alcohol problem, but yet they can't remember a day when they haven't drunk for, so they'll be drinking repeatedly every single night. But then the same way with alcohol, people binge drink, so people might not drink all the way through the week, and then it comes to Saturday or Friday night and they'll drink massive amounts of alcohol at that point. But that causes some massive damage to your body, to your liver. So it's with alcohol, because it is sociably acceptable in certain areas, because it's legal, then it's sort of easier to hide. And then sometimes if you are drinking, people sort of will say, I'm only just having a couple of drinks, and sometimes it can be a much more bigger problem. Sure.
And I just want to move on then in terms of, we spoke, you mentioned at the beginning there, particularly with the under 25s, with weed being a problem. I mean, because some countries have even legalised it, haven't they? I think Canada recently have taken this approach. I mean, what's the position in the UK in regards to marijuana? Is it illegal? Is it legal?
Yeah, it's completely illegal. It's illegal. So you can't walk down the street with it. You can't have it on you. You can't give it to your friends. You will be charged criminally with it. So some of the young people I work with seem to think they can walk down the street smoking a joint. But now, if a police officer pulls them over, they'll refer to Luton Youth Offending Service to give them a chance, because they might not understand the law. But after that, then the consequences become quite severe. But the reason that this is such a massive issue in this town, because people will try and minimise the damage it causes. We've worked with a lot of people that are suffering from serious mental health issues due to cannabis use, because the drug that's inside, THC, is something that stimulates the brain, but certain people's brains are affected by it in a really severe way, which there's certain issues like psychosis, the people we work with, that people can start hearing voices in their head, can start to behave very differently. But once that you get to that stage, you really need massive amounts of support. But just not only that, it's the fact that for young people, it can be their first contact with a drug dealer, the first contact with a gang member, and this leaves them highly open to be manipulated or to getting into debt with drug dealers. And with the way the world's changed now, the drug dealers out there actively look for young people to get them involved, and it will always start with cannabis.
So they use that as almost a hook?
Yeah, so they'll get them involved, get them into debt, and then in some really unfortunate cases, which is happening quite a lot in this town, then once they're in debt, the drug dealer or gang member will get them to start running the phone line for free until they paid off the debt, which obviously they're drug dealers and gang members, you're never going to pay off the debt. And it becomes quite serious, and things can massively change for young people, especially as well with the fact if they get charged for possession of cannabis, everything stays on your record now. So even if you do really well at school, university, and you go for that job that you've always wanted, and we all get DBS checks at important jobs that we go for, and if you've got possession of a drug on there, and another candidate who's going for the job hasn't got that, they shouldn't judge, but they're going to obviously go for the person that hasn't taken it. So the choices that they're making now regarding cannabis can affect them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. I mean, that's so powerful, given that, it's almost become such a kind of almost a fashionable kind of way of life. And yet, what you've described, both the medical side, both the physiological side, but also the social side in terms of the impact that it can have on a person, is quite profound, isn't it?
Yeah, and the worrying thing that we find is that young people will be smoking with friends or just smoking because they've seen somebody else do it, and they'll literally be struggling with the issues that I was talking about, or maybe the early stages of psychosis, but they're asking friends for advice around it, and obviously the friends don't understand what they're talking about. I've given them poor advice. They've carried on smoking, and then before they know it, that these effects of of psychosis and other mental health issues can come on quite quickly.
Yeah, fantastic.
But the people need to know, if you are suffering with them, you need to get support as quick as you can.
Absolutely. No, definitely. And if say if you were concerned about a friend, like you said, how would if you're concerned about someone, what would be the best thing for them to do in terms of seeking support for friends or loved ones or family?
Yeah, well, we've got a friends and family support worker that works at Resolution. So again, you would call the 0800 number, or you would refer on the website, and we would offer support. So we offer one-to-one support, and we offer group support as well. Fantastic. For carers and family and friends. We also do what's called hidden harm as well, which is for young people that are suffering from parental alcohol misuse, and we can provide interventions around that as well.
Yeah, because we have a lot of clients that the young people are not using drugs or alcohol themselves, but the parents are, and are often doing the jobs that parents should be doing at home to support the family, when obviously the parent is intoxicated or high on drugs.
Absolutely. And just from your experience, is it often that families and friends will make contact with your service? Is that quite a normal thing to do, or is it mainly referral from health professionals?
The majority are self-referral or referral from health professionals, but we are having an increasing number of people that are coming in for support because of their loved ones, and also because people don't know how to support someone sometimes with a drug or an alcohol addiction. It might be a case of giving someone money when actually that's not necessarily the best way of supporting someone. So it's what's called enabling, where you kind of enable someone to continue with their addiction, and if that support is withdrawn, then potentially someone will seek help, but the longer that family members will continue to give support, often it can prolong the addiction.
Or what they perceive as support, right?
Exactly.
You feel as though you're supporting someone, but actually, as you just highlighted there, you're just prolonging the issue, and actually the best thing to do is make contact with the service in regards to getting that evidence-based intervention. Absolutely.
And it's education, really, isn't it? Because a lot of the parents, family members, brothers, sisters, they really don't understand the drug that the person's using, even when it's coming down to addiction, whether it be a physical addiction or a mental addiction. They seem to, with the family, you'll always find that they take it really personally about their child or loved one, when at that point it's that loved one suffering from addiction and is only thinking about themselves and has no care for what's going on around. And sometimes just getting that understanding about the drug and what they're going through can sort of ease people's minds a little bit.
And I think we do other kind of promotional stuff where we have stalls for drug and alcohol awareness, for awareness for family and friends, where we have in town carnivals, family fairs, health fairs, just to give other family members drug and alcohol awareness.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, absolutely. So, listeners, we've had a few messages come in already, and I'd appreciate some more. You know the number, it's 07779 481 822. As you can hear, we have an expert panel, and they're happy to take any questions you may have. So, just taking it back to basics, I mean, given your experience and the people that you've helped over the years, why do people take drugs and alcohol?
People take drugs for many various reasons. In the beginning stages, usually it's things like something's missing in life, the thrill, the fun, the buzz. Many people do it for because they're stressed. Usually it's to hide your emotions, all these negative emotions. People sometimes suffering from depression. It takes it away. And as you know, it's all short-term fix. They feel good at the time. So they fall into the vicious cycle. When they get the withdrawals, they need more. So then they'll get depressed, feel lonely, isolated, and to get them feel better again, they'll take it again. And then they start getting dependent on it.
Sure.
Yeah. And the idea is to feel happy, feel better about themselves, but usually they're just falling into a hole.
Yeah, it's completely opposite what they're getting from it. So this is just like a short-term fix, and then mainly it's a lot of people self-medicating. So a lot of people that have suffered trauma early on in life, you'll find that have used it, but then people that will just in general have started smoking cannabis, for example, when they were younger, then have just sort of recreationally tried different things, and before they know it's become a problem. So there's loads of reasons why somebody could have started taking drugs, but it's all personal to that person. But it's one of those things, you really don't need to start doing something like that, because the problems it can cause you later in life are massive.
Because we're focusing on the short-term fix, so you can fall into this vicious cycle, but the same way as when you're dependent, you won't get the right effects afterwards that you were getting in the beginning, because your body starts getting dependent. You can't fool it afterwards, so you're dependent on this and you need that drug to keep you going.
Just had it's a comment, I guess, as much as anything, in relation to this person feels as though there's been a significant increase in steroid use in a kind of gym environment. Does that fall under the umbrella of drugs as you guys think of it? Or?
Yeah, definitely, because like for example, even with the world of social media that we're in now, and people posting pictures of themselves looking amazing, even for the young people I'm working with, it's putting a massive amount of pressure on
this kind of Instagram.
Yeah, like especially with males trying to look a certain way. It's definitely for females as well. But I know a lot of young guys that I work with want to have that body that they see all the time on social media. So with the world it is now, they want that body quickly.
Sure.
But they have no understanding whatsoever about steroids at all and how dangerous they can be. The danger with them is massive. I've seen some people have some serious mental health issues due to it. But it is definitely on the rise. I find it is just through the communities, because I go to the gym regularly every day, and you hear people talking, you hear people trying to get certain stuff, but I don't necessarily know if it affects the drug, because we offer at the drug service clean needles, advice around them, because we'll find that people will ask friends and family rather than a professional to get support. And I've worked with people that in the past where they've where there's certain points on your body where you administer the steroid, and they've put them into a completely wrong pace in their body, and nearly killed themselves just for a family friend or a cousin telling them that's what they should do. So it is really concerning about what will people do and what they don't understand, but they think they're going to have this amazing body, when that doesn't even necessarily mean that that's going to happen from steroid use, because everybody's body's genetically different. It doesn't mean because you take steroids you're going to look like The Rock, for example. You've still got to put in a lot of hard work, eat properly, but the best way to do that is naturally, because the side effects around them are massive.
Really, yeah. And then, so if, for example, someone is caught in that, like you mentioned, you used the term vicious cycle, and so someone has now started using steroids as part of their, part of their activity, part of their gym work, etc. What support, if anything, is available for someone doing that?
Well, we find, what I know of people that use steroids, that they won't get any support because they won't want to go to a drug service, because they don't feel like that is a drug problem, that it's not a problem. Even though they're having massive mental health effects from it, they're getting acne all over their body, their temper has gone through the roof to the point where they're violently assaulting people, but they still won't admit that it's the steroids, and people will continuously misuse them as well, where they'll just wanting to get bigger or in better shape, even though they're losing absolutely everything around them, like in the case with everybody who uses drugs. But in their mind, or the mind of a steroid user, that it's not a drug as far as like cannabis, heroin, crack is. So you'll find they won't even come forward and ask for advice. They'll just ask a friend for advice and then get the wrong advice.
Sure, but they should be coming forward if they have realised that if friends and family have realised that this is something that is a problem for them, then they can come via the friends and family service to get that right information for them at that time. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
But with many of them, they don't want to tell anyone they're on steroids. They want to tell everyone they're natural. You know what I mean? That's another thing where in the training they're looking good. Nobody wants that stigma that you're taking steroids. They just want to say that we're natural, that I've done the hard work. Where really they're using their steroids just to feel good,
but
look good.
Another problem with them is the fact that people are buying them on the internet, buying them from wherever they're getting them from. A lot of them are counterfeit as well. So people are putting stuff into their bodies. The same with all drugs. You're literally gambling with your life with any drug until you put it in your mouth, smoke it, snort it, inject it, whatever you're going to do with it. You don't know if you're allergic to that or the reaction your body's going to have to it until you put it in you. So people need to be aware, just because it looks legitimate, 99% of the time it hasn't been made in a laboratory, a pharmaceutical laboratory. It's been made in someone's garage, someone's bedroom, someone's loft. It's a very dirty place where people are making these things, so you just got to be aware of that.
Thank you. We're going to pick that up again after these short adverts.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening to all our listeners and viewers. Welcome back to the Health and Fitness Show. My name is Suliman Rafiq, your host for this evening, and today we are discussing drugs and alcohol with our guests from Resolutions. This program is broadcasting live on Thursday the 21st of February 2019 from the studios of Inspire FM. Good evening, guests, and thank you for staying around. For anyone that missed the start of the show, could I just ask you to very quickly introduce yourselves again?
Yeah, my name's Carl Gregory. I'm a young person's worker at Resolutions. So that means I work with people under the age of 25. We go into schools, delivering workshops. We have a caseload of young people that we support on a one-to-one basis. But I also work in the Luton Youth Offending Service, so I work with anybody who's arrested with anything to do with drugs, or if the worker has some concerns that they're misusing drugs.
Hello, my name is Saklan. I'm a recovery champion, and I work as a PSI worker, psychosocial intervention, which helps people in recovery as groups, as different kind of groups, helping them manage thoughts, feelings, and build a better life for them.
And my name's Hayley Brooks, and I'm one of the services managers at Resolutions, and I manage the service operationally.
Fantastic, that's great. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. So, as I say, for those of you who might have missed the beginning of the show, we did just kind of touch on some of the statistics on why this is such an important topic to be discussing, particularly within the community. And Hayley, you mentioned some really quite profound statistics. You just recap those for us again?
Yeah, absolutely. So if a South Asian cohort that's accessing treatment, 84% of those are actually accessing treatment for opiate misuse and 10% for alcohol. This is in our adult cohort. So it really does indicate that opiates are an issue within the South Asian community. Now, for the young person service, some of our figures are suggesting that people are accessing more for cannabis. So 50% of our South Asian cohort are accessing for cannabis. 37% are accessing for alcohol misuse. So there's a big difference between our young people and our adults. In terms of the male and female ratio, for the adult service, it's about 98% are male and 2% are female accessing treatment.
Sure, and we discussed perhaps that's more to do with around a taboo around women accessing services rather than there not necessarily being a problem at all for women.
Definitely.
And can you just recap again just the telephone number and the website address for anyone that did want to get in touch?
Absolutely. Our 0800 number is 0800 054 6603. And our web address is www.resolutions4luton.org.
fantastic. That's great. I just want to actually just take this opportunity to thank our listeners who have been interacting with us throughout the break. We've had some really nice messages. Just I think one kind of captures a few of the messages in one, and that was just to say thank you to Resolutions for the hard work you do with the community in such challenging circumstances. So just a bit of appreciation there, which is nice.
Thank you. Very lovely.
So thank you for the number of listeners that have kind of commented, and thank you for the work, the very vital work that you're doing within the community. It is very much appreciated. So just before we went on the break there, we were discussing steroid use, which was highlighted as a kind of growing phenomenon given the rise in social media and the pressures on people to look a certain way, etc. And you identified that there is support available for people if they do want to access it, but even more importantly, in a way, for friends and family, that if they have any concerns, that there is someone that they can talk to locally and access that best advice. So that's really helpful to know. So I mean, we spoke about gateways, and we spoke about how not cannabis. We spoke about how marijuana was often a gateway in terms of drug dealers getting hold of people and then progressing them on to doing different things. But taking it a step even further ahead of that, I mean, are there any gateways to drug use itself, particularly if parents are concerned about their children particularly?
I see that a lot because, again, with social media, a lot of young people will be watching certain music videos, certain movies, where 99% of the time, especially with cannabis, alcohol and sometimes powder cocaine will be almost sort of glorified in those videos and movies. So as a young person that's looking up to certain people will seem to think that those drugs or alcohol is not too bad, but often that'll put the sort of seed in their mind to start doing that. But a lot of the time it will be a peer pressure with young people as well, where one person will be doing something and somebody will sort of say, do you want to try this? But like we say, with smoking is one of the keys, even to the point where people are vaping. We work with people that are vaping and then they've started smoking when the whole point of vaping is to stop smoking. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that influences a lot of people into doing stuff. So it's hard when it's in the media all the time. And young people and adults are looking at it all the time and they think, well, I'll give it a try. And then, unfortunately, that's that one step too far and before you know it.
So even smoking cigarettes can lead on, if someone isn't smoking cigarettes can lead on to then taking other stuff. Is that right, Skin?
Yeah, and they say sometimes one drug complements the other.
What do you mean by that?
If you're on one, if you're smoking, and then you're not getting the effects that you used to get. Right. And sometimes people want something better, something more stronger. Is when people are drinking beers and lagers and they want something to hit them stronger, they want vodka. Yeah, it's just like the same thing with the drugs. Once your body gets dependent and used to it, they want something different. And sometimes they can get dependent on 2 drugs or even 3.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing with everything is everything's getting stronger. So if you look like years ago with cannabis, it was a real dark green bush plant, which everybody would call weed, which was really low in THC. Right. And as the years have gone on, now we've got a bracket of, because it's not really weed anymore, it's skunk. So the what young people are smoking is the same, it comes under the same thing, but it's a hybrid of weed. So it would be, a lot of them, they'll be under the bracket of flavours now, which means that there can be up to like 70% more THC in them. So that's the drug that affects your brain. So you just got to remember, everything's getting stronger. Nobody wants the weakest stuff. Everybody wants the strongest and most potent sort of things. So that's when the danger comes into things, because that's when everything seems to massively affect people.
Yeah, and we're talking about drug dealers, where, as you know, sometimes you're offered free tasters. Yeah. So just to try the drug, and the dealers probably know what the effects are going to be. If someone's going to like it, if they like another drug, you probably like another one. So it's just to get people hooked on it.
And you'll find one dealer will be selling 3 different sorts of drugs. Yeah. And they'll send out. It's a business now. It's not just your friend selling a bit of drugs. People will send out text messages, offering deals. saying that they've got the new best stuff in town and that, even that on its own is enough to someone to be like, on Friday, I know this guy's got this, I'm going to get this off of him. So it's everywhere. It's part of society. It always has been, but it's just obviously getting more and more dangerous.
Listeners, I know some of you may have some questions or comments to make, so please do get in touch via WhatsApp or text on 0777 948 1822. That number again, 0777 948 1822. I'm gonna ask about something which I don't even know if it's true, but I'm going to say it, is that there's been a suggestion that for people that have had drug issues within the town, they've then gone to various different countries, in the Middle East perhaps or wherever, to take on some form of like rehabilitation support. In terms of their family have kind of sponsored them to go out there and clean up, as you know the phrase may be. Is there any truth in that? And is that a good way of dealing with an issue?
Yes, it has been happening. A lot of people have been going places like Egypt for rehab. And just by getting an implant put in them, that will take away the withdrawals, all the pain that they're getting from the drugs.
So it's mainly opiate, those ones, isn't it? So it'll be heroin use. And it'll be like a blocker. So it also, if people start to use, once they've got that in them, they will have no effects from the drug that they were using.
Right.
But the idea is when they come back over here, usually many people have relapsed. Because usually the treatment side will take away the short-term fix, but usually the problem is up in the mind, how they manage their emotions.
Right.
Because they use drugs to stop thinking, manage their emotions in a different way, take away the pain, depression, stress, anxiety, and when they haven't done that, they come back. Many people have relapsed.
Because that's the key, really. Like, people will go there for the short term to stop the drug, which a family would normally be like, that's it. But the main part of any recovery from drugs is the aftercare, like what Saklan does at Resolutions. And that's the most important part of it, the support that you get, because once you come out, when you're in addiction, you're often masking either issues that you've got going on in your mind or stuff that you're sort of suppressing. But when you become sober, your brain has to deal with all those things, and a lot of people can't deal with them. So that's when you'll find that someone will relapse straight away because they can't deal with all the stuff going on in their head. So they just start to use the drugs again to block it.
Sure.
But if you do it in the right way with Resolutions, and then you follow the support pathway that we offer, then you'll find it's not 100% cure, nothing is, but the support that we can offer will really help that person. And plus, for the fact is that we've got doctors, nurses, like mental health workers, like Steph,
recovery coordinators.
Yeah,
we've got a clinical psychologist as well.
You have a clinical psychologist.
Yeah, we do.
I think the idea is to come back and be open, be honest, talk about how your emotions are, your thoughts and feelings, your depression. The more you talk about it, we talk about the CBT model, thoughts, feelings and behaviour.
Right.
Yeah. And in our groups at the hub, it's a recovery aftercare place, which we do different various groups, like managing emotions, things like relapse prevention. How can you prevent another relapse happening? We do smart recovery, which works with the triggers and cravings. Right. It's all about talking, engaging, encouraging people, to change their way of thinking.
And I can't tell you how important that bit is.
Right.
Like just initially stopping someone taking drugs with medication is fine, but it's your brain that you've got to deal with, because a lot of it's a mental addiction. So every time you're having a bad day, your brain will tell you need to go and get these drugs.
Afterwards, you're left with your own mind, and you have to deal with that afterwards. You can have any treatment, but up here you've still got the same thinking process.
So the issue hasn't really been dealt with, is what you're saying?
No, it's been masked.
It's been masked.
It's like a temporary fix, but then, like exactly what I was saying about Saklan's role in the company, is so so important that you receive support, because a lot of time people will try and do it at home, and the family can't understand why they keep going back to it. It's because they're not doing the work that's needed to get that to get them through and to move them on.
Sure. So
And that's a lot with the South Asian community. Yeah, they've got a stigma where they think that they don't want to be honest, they don't want to talk about it. You know, they just want to isolate themselves and stay at home. So they've still got the problem at home in there. So they keep relapsing, because the only way, if you sit at home with your problem, sooner or later your mind convinced to have something to feel better. So they need to get to the groups. They need to talk about it, be honest. They need to embrace, talk about their thoughts, their feelings, and engage with others in there as well. Inspiration from other people that have done well in recovery. Yeah.
To really get to the root of.
Absolutely.
I can't explain to you how important that is.
Very important.
It's the key to it all. You need support. That is the main thing. You can't. I've known a very few amount of people who have done it on their own, but the main support is being around people and professionals that know what you're going through, to make you feel like you're not on your own.
Sure.
We've dealt with this situation before. We can help you through it.
And the recovery hub is a godsend. A long time ago, we never used to have that, and now we've got an aftercare facility which helps people to keep their recovery going and to build their better life that they want to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's so many different groups and courses that people can do up there. You know, different timetables, 7 days a week. Recovery is
7 days a week.
Recovery is 7 days a week. Is for the rest of your life. So managing your emotions, we talk about relapse prevention. There's other ACT peer groups that focus on just behaviour, people's behaviour.
But it's as well getting you back into the community. So we've got an E2E worker that will help you try and find education, training or work.
Right.
So a lot of people wouldn't have worked for a long time. So they'll find it really hard to get back into that. But we've got a worker that will help with that as well. So there's support in all areas.
And different therapies like meditation, mindfulness, acupuncture to help you relieve stress, improve back to your sleep as normal patterns.
Fantastic. Listeners, I appreciate your questions and comments that have been coming in. I will be getting to them right now. So one of the points that have been made is around, actually just before I get to that, I was slightly blown away actually by the amount of different things that are available there, and I think that is a really important message before I move on. Just to say that, this is a free service that is available for people in the town, and it's evidence-based, and you have a wide range of different professionals. So there is no need for us to necessarily seek alternative methods, such as going to various different places, when we have this within the town.
Yeah, that's right. And what I would say is there's some highly skilled workers in that place who work really hard with the people they work with.
Absolutely.
So it's not just a job. People this is part of their lives. So they really do a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a kind of I feel kind of comment as well. It was in relation to, apologies, it's taking me a little while to get to these. It was in relation to the work that's happening in schools. People, just a few people saying, prevention is better than cure. Would you be happy just to touch on a little bit more? You mentioned you do work around prevention as well. Can you just touch on that and how people might be able to get them involved with their schools and stuff? If you do work in schools,
we've got a young people's team. So there's 4 of us, 5 of us that go into schools and deliver workshops. So we deliver that from year 7 to year 11.
Sure.
So we do either general drug awareness, but things seem to have changed a little bit more now. We're doing targeted workshops, which means we'll do a PHSE day, which means we'll be in there with other services from the community, but we'll be delivering targeted workshops. So it will mainly be around cannabis, mainly be around alcohol, be around specific drugs that are actually affecting our young people, because so much of the information that they're receiving from social media, again, is false. So they're all from their friends. So they'll only be told the negative, the positive side to all drugs that they're taking, whereas we work in a drug service and we can give them fact-based risks, consequences, laws, effects, so we can get to them. Because at the end of the day, with young people, it's all about education. They're learning from social media and friends. If we don't do what we're doing, then because we all know everybody's going to make the choices they make, but if we can give over that right bit of information at that right time for one person, then that's got to be something we need to do. And to the fact that we're pushing resolutions into a younger cohort, because as well, a lot of people might be suffering with addiction, or their parents or guardians are suffering and they don't know what to do. Yeah. So we will give them that knowledge as well of what we offer, what we do. If you need support, we can help you.
Fantastic. And for from a school's community centre perspective, I mean, just give us a sense, what age of children do you normally talk to, and what exactly is it?
So it will really be from I think it's about 11 to I work with under 25, so it's right the way through high school.
So secondary school.
Yeah. So we normally go to year 7s and then go through. We do some work in the lower schools, but that'll be mainly around cigarettes and alcohol, smoking, shisha, things like that.
Sure. And then schools, prior, like, you know, independent schools and stuff, they can get in touch with your service.
Yeah. We work with all the alternative provisions in the town, so we go into them. We work alongside all of those services, so we seem to work really well with them as well. But what I would say, some parents have said, "Oh, why are you teaching my child about drugs?" Yep. This is the biggest thing that was my concern, that a parent would say that, because we need to tell them facts, because they are learning stuff from the internet, from music videos, everything that is wrong. So we need to get that information over as soon as we can, because they're hearing it from everywhere else.
Yep. Absolutely. No, that's really, I think it's really about empowering people, isn't it? Yeah. You know, youngsters as well, to make those informed decisions, so they don't end up, making the wrong decisions and ending up, you know, in some of the circumstances that you described earlier on in the show. I mean, time has flown. Time has absolutely flown by. We only have a few moments left, really. Given your experiences, are there any other kind of key messages you'd like to kind of get out there, given the platform you have today?
If one message that I would give to young people that I work with, if you are with a group of people and you have taken drugs, or you've had alcohol, and one of those people fall ill, or they look unwell, or they look really ill, just make sure you call an ambulance and make sure the ambulance gets to that person, because we've had some issues where young people have got really scared that someone's fallen ill, thought they might get in trouble, and ran off and left the person. Right. And the young person's ended up in serious trouble. So they need to know, ring the ambulance, at least wait for the ambulance to get to the person. If they feel that they've got to run, then run, but make sure that person's safe.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of summarises just what a problem it is in terms of what we're discussing, that possible onwards effects. Like you're saying, you've recently seen episodes of where, you know, ambulances, etc., have to be called, because you do see it so glamorized that you don't never see that kind of side.
And nobody will tell them that side of it. So even when we are in schools, you can see they've all gone like silent and just staring, because it's information they haven't heard yet. Sure. So the earlier we can get the information in, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And Suliman?
Yeah, well, I would say, in recovery and addiction, you know, preparation is key. You know what I mean? It's people, as we mentioned, we talk about short-term fix. People want it like this. They want it as soon as possible. But the idea is preparation. As you know, if you take a drug and alcohol away, you've got a void, you've got a hole that you've got to fill in. So addiction and recovery is all about preparation. It's what you're going to do instead of using and drinking. How are you going to sustain? How are you going to maintain it? In having a recovery plan, building recovery capital, different things around you, using the facilities, the support. Resolutions is a big one. The hub is massive. Young people's, you know, there's so much support out there. And there's people need to engage.
What is the hub? Sorry, what is the hub?
The hub is an aftercare facility for people that are abstinent. Right. So as you know, it has different supports to help with the relapse prevention. So what it is when we've been in addiction for such a long time, we want to get back to our normal life. So as we mentioned, we've got a ET worker up there that helps people with voluntary work and get back to work, training, stuff like that. People with gardening, people with different family and friends we've got up there. So just building your life back to normal again.
It's like a community that supports each
recovery
other.
Community, yeah.
So there's a lot of people in recovery, and you'll find that they will support each other along the way. So it was really helpful.
Yeah. Fantastic. And Hayley?
Yeah, well, we very much want to get our education and awareness message out into the community. So if there are any venues that are working with young people or organisations, any companies that want education and awareness raising around drugs and alcohol, we're very happy to deliver that free of charge.
Free of charge.
So they would just need to get in touch with us on that 0800 number.
Great.
And we would be happy. So, Carl delivers a lot of these workshops, and a lot of the team, certainly Carl delivers it for young people, but anyone else in the team can deliver sort of the adult workshops. And we're really keen to get that harm reduction message out there into the community and reduce the alcohol and drug related harm in Luton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we always do. We do like professionals training as well. So we like, for example, we've gone into for social workers, doctors, nurses, safeguarding leads, school teachers. So if people do need training and just want some drug awareness, is good, because the world's changing. Things are not the same as they were last year. So it's always good to have the knowledge of what's happening now, not last year, because that's the key.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything's changing rapidly.
Just got briefly on this one, just a question around legal highs.
So legal highs are not legal. So for example, the one legal high that everybody would know about is something called Spice.
Okay.
So that was literally, you could buy it in every shop in the town.
Right.
But which now, because people had so many bad experiences from taking it, that it's now changed to the psychoactive substances model. So they are now illegal. So if you get caught with those drugs, or you're smoking those drugs, you can be criminally prosecuted.
Right.
But the side effects to those drugs are just, the risks around them are massive. You see on the news and the media about people smoking Spice and stuff. The side effects to it are horrific.
Right.
So there's nothing legal. Those legal highs are not legal. It's illegal.
They're illegal.
Yeah, there's no legal highs anymore.
And that's really interesting. I think you mentioned a point there about, in terms of if there is anyone listening who works with young people, engaged with young people, running community groups, etc., getting some of that information around, what's the latest situation, what are the latest issues around, like you said, Spice or whatever the latest kind of thing is going to be, in terms of that. Okay. I mean, well, time's really passed by. I just want to thank all of our listeners who messaged in and texted in. Unfortunately, didn't get to every single message, tried to group some together. I just want to thank as well, the guys here from Resolutions have given up their evening today to be with us here live in the studio. And I think there was a clear message there of, engagement. If you want support, if you want to talk, if you're worried about someone, get in touch and engage with them. And also that key, you're prepared to work in partnership, aren't you?
Yep.
Very
In terms
much
of
so, yeah.
That's the key.
Working with other organisations to make sure that people receive that support. So I wish you all a fantastic week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Have a fantastic week.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We stream our daily broadcast on inspirefm.org. You'll find all our daily updates on our social media at Inspire FM Luton.